All right, the Master of Controversy is back. We're going to take a look at another Osho video. This one is new. What is it? Osho International. They just pull these infinite videos out of the archive and on this like forever and ever.
There's so much audio even aside from the videos of him. Like I'm my third time going through this audio book I have of him. It's an audio book, but it's him talking in front of an audience.
Yeah.
And it's hours long.
Yes.
So,
and for these videos, they can snip it up into like 10-minute or 5-minute clips. Oh, there's 1,000 videos.
He talked so much. I guess if we compiled everything we've ever videoed, it'd be a lot too.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll jump right into this. This is called Osho, No Country is Spiritually Evolved. So, won't keep you waiting. Let's get into it.
India is going to miss me, just for the simple reason that I have been born here. This accident is going to be a calamity for India. You don't see many Indians here. You may not have looked at this in this way. Why they are not here? It is very difficult for their egos to accept me. Particularly Jainas, the small religious group in India of Jainas. It was accident. I was born a Jaina. You will not find them here. They all know me. They are well acquainted with me, but that is the problem. Because of that, they cannot come here. India is going to miss. Except India, nobody is going to miss. Everybody will be more in tune with me. An Indian thinks that he is the very center of the world, spiritually, very highly evolved, all rubbish. Nobody as a country is spiritually evolved. Nobody as a race spiritually is evolved. Spirituality happens only to individuals, not to countries. Yes, Buddha was evolved. So was Jesus. Mahavir was evolved. So was Muhammad. Krishna was evolved. So was Zarathustra. So what? Individuals. Just because Buddha happened to be born in India, India does not become spiritual. Because spiritual people have been born all over the world, to every part, to every country, to every century, to every race. But there is a spiritual egoism. And there are reasons also. India feels very inferior in many ways. It has to compensate. The West is very materially progressive, materially affluent, rich in science, rich in living, rich in every way. India feels inferior. How to compensate it? This becomes a compensation that we are spiritually evolved. No country is spiritually evolved. Because spirituality is basically individual. It has nothing to do with country and climate. It is not confined to the boundaries of politics.
I'm not from India, but I imagine that might penetrate, some of the hearts of people there. When you think your bridges are too big or something like that. It made me think a bit about my past when I was a Christian, a fundamentalist, and I used to think like, oh, how sad for the, other places in the world where they might not, be as spiritually evolved as us and have our, Christianity. And we're Canadian, we're not American here. But even, that idea ran through my head probably at that time to think, well, I have somehow found the truth, and, so sad for those out there that may not have found the truth, as if attaching yourself to a identity within a country somehow, gives you a leg up or makes you more spiritual than someone else. Yeah. And then you get a little bit of wisdom under your belt, and you realize that, it's something that's found within you. It has nothing to do with, other people.
Yeah. It's interesting how people think, because when I was a young guy, I remember being at a party one time where it was like a Christian party. Yeah. And some of the Christians were taking issue with the other Christians there because some people had gone on a trip and they were talking about some of the desolate living conditions or something that they'd seen, and this discussion broke out, and then it was got into foreign people finding work in our country or something like that, and somebody stated something like, well, they're probably just so grateful to be here or something like that, and some of the other Christians were sidebarring and were like, oh my goodness, how like presumptuous and whatever that they would say that they're probably just grateful to be here type stuff. And all this discussion was going on. Where my mind was at was thinking, well, for one, he said that they know me, they're acquainted with me, and they had that opinion of him, and they're going to miss me and all this stuff. And it brought to mind the Bible verse that says something along the lines of, a prophet will never be accepted in his homeland. Yeah. So that's like a geography problem. If there's truth in that, the prophet is not typically, or just isn't accepted in their homeland, then it's almost just, that's a shame. Behold, we got a prophet among us, and we can't accept them because they're from our homeland. Yeah. That happens in music. It's like, go over the seas, and I'm huge in England, but go figure, I can't sell squat here, and people are not selling in England, so they come over, and there's a big English wave of music that takes over here. Yeah. There's something about that, right? And also, this was probably recorded way back in the 80s. I think Osho died in 1990, so I think it was around then. So so things may have been different back then. There's a different way of looking at it. Yes, there's a compensation way of looking at it, but you could also look at it in terms of, displacement. The West had their focus on this. And for a long time, the East maybe had their focus in a different area. But over time, those focuses have shifted. We're 30, 40 years later now, and the West is becoming super spiritual. We burnt that drive out, many of us. Have burnt it out, and we're like, well, there's got to be more. And then people are going over to India to figure out what's going on. And maybe Indian people are getting Westernly influenced. That seems to be a natural thing. And by the way, I think that Osho is a genius. I think he's very smart. And I like that he listed all those enlightened people, and he said, so what? It's an individual thing. Yeah. You're going to create like an egoic, sense of inferiority about yourself or something like that. You're a product of your environment, but within that environment, you're free to be an individual and carve your own way and see things your own way.
I like how he pointed out the overcompensation thing. That little game that the ego plays with itself sometimes, where it might be lacking in something, or it's feeling jealousy of something that someone else has, and so it constructs something within itself to prop itself up, to make it feel better about itself. And I know he was kind of like, but it's not just India that does it. That's everyone who does that. That's a thing that's a sickness we all have to get over.
This is how an ego behaves, think of the race to be enlightened. There's some people that are in a race. I just came back I'm so, let me tell you now that I have the answers, and then there's a sense, people sometimes make comments, on other channels I've seen, where a comment might be like, I'm concerned that I'm never going to be awakened. Everybody else gets to have it except for me. Yeah. It's like, if you listen to this stuff about awakening and about enlightenment and all this stuff, it seems to be pretty obvious at this point that the one that's seeking and the one that's in a hurry and thinks it's some future event is the one that just is a It becomes non in the end.
It goes away.
You know,
It's not even
you
a-
probably really should be excited for everybody
Yeah.
to have exactly the non-dual state where
Yeah.
there's no ego to feel petty about things. There's no ego to feel threatened and all this stuff.
Yep.
You know, but I'm not awakened, so as far as I know. So that's just speculation.
We journey on. Another awesome one dropped by Osho International. Hopefully you guys liked our reaction on this one. If you did, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everyone till next time, stay spiritual.